The Village by the Sea, An Indian Family Story is a novel for young people by the Indian writer Anita Desai, published in London by Heinemann in 1982. It is based on the poverty, hardships and sorrow faced by a small rural community in India. Desai won the annual Guardian Children's Fiction Prize, a book award judged by a panel of British children's writers. 2. It has 13 chapters. Anita Desai FRSL, born Anita Mazumdar, born the 24th of June 1937, is an Indian novelist and the Emerita John E. Burchard Professor of Humanities at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. 1. As a writer she has been shortlisted for the Booker Prize 3 times. 2. She received a Sahitya Akademi Award in 1978 for her novel Fire on the Mountain, from the Sahitya Akademi, India's National Academy of Letters. 4. She won the British Guardian Prize for The Village by the Sea, 1983. 5. Her other works include The Peacock, Voices in the City, Fire on the Mountain and an anthology of short stories, Games at Twilight. She is on the advisory board of the Lalit Kala Akademi and a Fellow of the Royal Society of Literature, London. Plot. Edit. The Village by the Sea is set in a small village called Thal in western India, 14 kilometers from Bombay, and focuses on a family trying to make ends meet. The main protagonists are Lila, the eldest child who is 13 years old, and her 12-year-old brother Hari. They also have 2 younger sisters, Bella and Kamal. They live with their mother, who has been chronically ill and is bedridden. Their father is an alcoholic, which forces Hari and Lila to manage the family. There is a lot of pressure on them due to the constant demand for meeting their needs. He wasn't earning money but used to take debts from villagers at the toddy shop to buy alcohol. With 2 younger sisters and a bedridden mother to take care of, life for Lila and Hari is too hard. Hari decides that he has had enough and leaves for Bombay to find work. Lila is left alone to take care of her family and struggles to do so. Help comes from an unexpected source, the rich De Silvas who have a beach house Mon Repos next to their hut. Meanwhile, Hari is new in the city of dreams, Bombay, and he is all alone. A kind restaurant owner, Jag, pities upon him and welcomes him to work in his restaurant. There, Hari builds a strong friendship with Mr. Panwala, the lovable watch repairer whose shop is just beside the shop Jag had. Through his experience with Mr. Panwala and Jag and the chain of events that take place in Bombay, Hari realizes that he could actually make a career as a watchmaker. Meanwhile, Lila, Bella, and Kamal admit their sick mother in the town hospital through the help of the De Silvas. Their father turns over a new leaf and accompanies their mother throughout her 7-month treatment. When Hari returns to the village soon after, he finds the environment of his home totally changed. As Hari reunites with his sisters, they all begin sharing stories with each other detailing the changes that took place after Hari left. Hari also explains the watch repair skills he learned in Bombay and reveals his plans to start a small repair shop in the village. Together, Lila, Hari, Bella, and Kamal all form a plan to use Hari's saved money, which he made and brought back from Bombay, to start a small chicken farm as a startup business for the family and financial support base for Hari's future repair shop. As Hari goes to the village to buy a chicken netting fence and tools to build a chicken pen, Saeed Ali Sahib, a researcher who is staying in Mon Repos, converses with him and marvels at Hari upon learning his plans. As the novel ends, Saeed Ali Sahib highlights Hari and his sister's resolve to adapt and change in this growing and ever-developing world. Anita Desai has explicitly described in her very own style of writing, and she shows how Hari in the dilapidated conditions of the Sri Krishna eating house finds warmth and affection through Mr. Andal Panwala, owner and watch mender of the Ding Dong Watch Shop. Mr. Panwala instills confidence in Hari and comforts him when he is terribly homesick. He even gives Hari a vivid and inspiring future and teaches him watch mending. This shows that even in one of the busiest, rickety and ramshackle cities such as Bombay there is still hope, love and affection. He also goes back to Thal with the help of Mr. Panwala and Jag insisting to buy the bus ticket. Jag's generosity by giving him some extra money to be brought back to his family. The Village by the Sea summary. The novel's action takes place in a fishing village near the sea named Thal, located in a rural area in India. The novel follows the life of a small family forced to live in poverty. The parents are unable to take care of their 4 children, the mother is sick with an unknown illness and the father is given to drink and dissolution, so the oldest 2, Lila and Hari, assume the roles of adults in the house. Lila takes care of her mother and takes care of the house while her brother works in the fields in order to financially sustain his family. The family ended up in this situation after Lila, Hari, Kamal, and Belu's father was tricked into believing that if he paid a large sum of money, someone would find him a job in Goa. The man ran away with the money and the father stopped working and started drinking excessively, which put a strain on the family. Hari begins to think about better ways in which he could help his family, and believes their prospects might get better when he hears that a factory will be built in their village. All of Hari's friends are excited, but Hari tries to have a more realistic view on whether he will find work in the factory. Their situation changes a bit when the De Silva family comes into the village. They are a rich family who vacation at their seaside home several times a year, and they always employ the children. Lila and Hari start helping them and become their servants. After finding out about their situation, Mr. De Silva offers Hari a job in Bombay as a car washer. At first, Hari is suspicious of his offer but then analyzes his situation and reaches the conclusion that Lila will never be able to find a good husband without money and that it is now his responsibility to provide for his family. The factory man begins to cause a stir when he tells Hari and other villagers about the major changes the fertilizer factory will bring. Jobs for skilled people, land set aside for houses for the thousands who will flood in, the removal of rice and other crops, etc. This causes consternation among the villagers and soon a protest begins to form. A group of men led by the charismatic Adarkar decides to go to Bombay to speak with the government. Hari is roused by the words of Adarkar and decides to go to Bombay to stand up for his people. He does not tell his sisters. When he arrives in Bombay, he is stunned by the city, its buildings, its crowds, the smells and noises, the cars. He listens to Adarkar and other speakers but quickly realizes he has no role to play. All of a sudden he is aware of his impetuosity in coming here and he feels very alone. He remembers Mr. De Silva's offer and manages to find the residence, but the rude servant tells him the De Silvas are not in town. A kindly watchman tells him he will take him to his friend Jag. Jag agrees to let Hari work in his restaurant, so Hari sends home a postcard letting his sisters know where he is and that he is going to bring his earnings to them. Life is hard for Hari in Bombay but he works hard. While working for Jag, Hari meets Mr. Panwala who takes Hari under his wing and starts to teach him how to make watches and how to repair them. During the time Hari is in Bombay, Lila finds succor from the De Silva family. When they come for their vacation, Lila works for them. She asks Mr. De Silva to take her mother to the hospital when she hears he is driving that way, and he immediately agrees and says he will take care of everything. When Lila's father hears of this, he yells at her in a drunken rage, but he goes to the hospital and remains at his wife's side. He also gives up drinking and is much more subdued. Lila visits every week, and her mother improves more and more. The De Silvas depart, but another guest stays in the home, a venerable political leader studying birds that, coincidentally, Hari heard speak in Bombay. He is quiet and kindly and pays the girls well. Monsoon season is hard for both Hari in Bombay and the villagers by the sea. When Hari hears on the radio that fishing boats out of Alibaug were lost in a storm, he decides he must return home. He knows he belongs with his family by the sea. He decides to go at Diwali, and continues to learn the watchmaking trade from Mr. Panwala in the interim. Hari returns and has an emotional reunion with his sisters. He is stunned to hear of his mother's improvement and his father's sobriety. He tells Lila that he has decided to start a small business raising animals while thinking that he will open his own watch shop in the future. Both business options are good for when the factory crowds come. Hari visits his mother in the hospital and is thrilled to see that the years of illness have fallen away. His father also seems pleased to see him in his own gruff way. Hari and his father are able to take mother home for Diwali. The celebrations are delightful and heartwarming for the family. Hari slips away for a moment during the preparations to see the man at the Mon repose. He talks with him briefly about bird watching and suddenly realizes that he is Saeed Ali, the impassioned speaker from Bombay. Ali is kindly like Mr. Panwala but expresses sadness about the changes coming to Alibaug. Hari tells him what he is doing and Ali perks up, admiring Hari's will to adapt. The novel ends with the family contentedly celebrating, grateful for the positive changes in their lives. The Village by the Sea character list. Lila. Lila is a young girl of 13 living in a poor fishing village in India. She has 3 younger siblings and together they are forced to care for themselves after their mother gets ill and their father starts drinking and stops working. Despite the hardships she is forced to endure, Lila remains optimistic and tries to help her family. She takes over the responsibilities her mother had and takes care of her younger sisters while also cooking and cleaning around the house. She grows up quickly, just like her brother Hari. Hari is Lila's thoughtful younger brother, a boy of 12 years old. Hari is forced to grow up rapidly because of their family situation. He gives up going to school because their family is no longer able to afford it and starts working in the fields instead. Hari realizes that his sister's future depends on him, and that forces him to work hard and think about new possibilities to make money. He is initially intrigued by the possibility of work in the factory but then travels to Bombay with protesters because he realizes it will not be good for his village. There he endures loneliness and difficult working conditions, but he manages to set aside money and befriend a kind, older watchmaker named Mr. Panwala. Eventually Hari realizes he is not a city boy and desires to go home. He takes his money and his plans to set up a poultry farm and a watch shop in Alaba, and returns to his family. Biju is a wealthy fisherman in the village where Hari and Lila live. He most likely made his fortune through smuggling and is prone to boasting and bragging. However, the villagers admire him because he is one of their own who managed to make a lot of money. He also earns their approbation when he and his new boat help rescue some of the fishermen lost during a violent monsoon storm. Bella is, like Kamal, Lila and Hari's younger sister. She is still in school, and though she works hard to help the family, she is still young and likes sweets and playing. Kamal is, like Bella, Lila and Hari's younger sister. She is still in school, and though she works hard to help the family, she is still young and likes sweets and playing. Mr. Panwala is an old watchmaker living in Bombay. He takes Hari under his wing and teaches him how to repair and make watches. He is described as an old, gentle, kind-hearted man who genuinely wants to help Hari. Because of him, Hari is able to return to his village with the prospect of opening his own repair shop in the future. Hira Lal is a watchman in the De Silva's apartment building in Bombay. He pities Hari and introduces him to one of his friends who is able to offer Hari work and a place to stay. Jag is a restaurant owner in Mumbai and a friend of Hira Lal. He offers the young boy a place to stay and a job in his restaurant. He is kind although rather reticent and harried. He isn't very compassionate towards his own family though, which is something Hari sees firsthand when Jag brings the sick boy home one night in a misguided effort to help him. Mr. De Silva is a wealthy man from Bombay who sometimes visits the fishing village where Lila and Hari live. He is a kind man and offers to give Hari a job in Mumbai. After Hari leaves Thal, Mr. De Silva is the one who takes Hari and Lila's mother to the hospital and pays for the bills. Meena. She is a young girl from the village and a good friend of Lila. Meena's family is not rich but has more money than Lila's, and they live near the temple. Mrs. De Silva. She is Mr. De Silva's wife who comes with him to the fishing village. She is kindly and generous. Father. For most of the novel, Father is a disappointing, angry drunk who cannot provide for his family and is quick to criticize his children. After his wife goes to the hospital though, he begins to shed his bad habits and gives up drinking. He is still a bit gruff, but it is clear he feels regret for his past actions and will most likely endeavor to do better. Mother is ill throughout most of the novel, and no one quite knows what is wrong with her. She finally goes to the hospital thanks to the De Silvas, where she receives treatment and undergoes rest for a case of tuberculosis and anemia. She improves enough to go home, and regains her warmth and vitality. Ramu. Hari's close friend, he is a staunch proponent of the factory being built because he assumes he will get employment there. Bola and Mahesh. Two of Hari's friends, both want jobs at the factory. The factory man. The representative of the fertilizer factory who speaks to the villagers, he is impatient, scornful, and rude. He is full of boastful comments about the factory and insults for the villagers, whom he sees as ignorant, pumpkin heads. Hirabai Kanakar. The older woman who lives next door to the children, she is the mother of the Kanakar boys, all of whom are drunk, coarse, and volatile. She stands up to them however, and helps the children a few times. The medicine man. Hirabai suggests Lila find this man to hopefully heal her mother, but Lila ends up being somewhat disappointed with him. Though sharp-eyed with an air of magic about him, his demands seem outsized compared with his help for mother. Adarkar. He is a youthful and fiery speaker who rallies the villagers of Thal to join other men from the district of Allahabad to travel to Bombay to protest against the coming fertilizer factory. Saeed Ali. He is a wise-looking, educated, and elderly man who passionately speaks on behalf of the Allahabad people. He knows the factory will be bad for them and for Bombay, which cannot handle another influx of people. He is the visitor the De Silvas invite to stay in their vacation home in Thal, and there he watches birds and delights in their behavior. When Hari visits him, he tells the boy how despondent he is with the changes modernity and capitalism and industry are bringing to India, but Hari's will to adapt inspires the old man. Hira Lal. The friendly doorman at the Seabird, he points Hari to his job at Jag's wife. A poor, weary, and troubled woman, she is initially hostile to Hari when Jag brings the boy home, but she is later kind to him because he confides in her that his father drinks and beats his mother. The Village by the Sea is a young adult novel written by Indian writer Anita Desai. The novel was first published in London in 1982, while the US version of the book was released in 1984. The book tells the story of two Indian siblings, Laila and Hari, as they try to improve life for their impoverished family. The novel won the Guardian Children's Fiction Prize, a British Book Award, in 1983. Laila and Hari are the oldest children in a poor family. They live in Thal, a small fishing village located next to the sea in a rural region of India. The family has not always been poor, but fell into bad fortune when the children's father paid a large sum of money to a man who promised to get him a job in Mumbai. However, the man lied to him and disappeared with the money. After the incident, the father fell into a deep despair and began drinking and neglecting the family. He does not earn a living, but borrows money from the neighbors to buy alcohol. Since the children's mother is very sick and confined to her bed most of the time, 13-year-old Laila and 12-year-old Hari have taken over parental duties for their younger siblings, Bella and Kamal. Laila takes care of their mother and performs household chores while Hari works as a laborer in the fields to earn money to support the family. Hari is always looking for new work and ways to alleviate his family's poverty. The villagers receive the news that a factory may open in town, and many boys wait eagerly to sign up for work. Hari wonders whether he should apply for a job there. The siblings' luck improves when a wealthy family, the De Silvas, move into the house next door and pay Laila and Hari to do some work around their home. The De Silvas live in Mumbai and are just spending the holiday in Thal. After he hears about the children's plight, Mr. De Silva tells Hari he can get him a job at a car wash in Mumbai. Although the job offer falls through, Hari thinks about going to Mumbai to look for work, especially after the family's dog, Pinto, is poisoned by neighbors as revenge for their father not being able to pay back money that he borrowed to buy alcohol. Biju, a fisherman, is building a boat with an engine. Some of the villagers in Thal are upset that factories are being built on their land and decide to travel to Mumbai to complain to the government. Hari takes advantage of the opportunity to go with them to Mumbai. When he gets there, he looks for the De Silvas but learns that they are away on vacation. Hirala, a servant in the De Silvas' house, helps Hari by introducing him to a man named Jag, who offers him a job in his restaurant, the Sri Krishna Eating House, and pays him ₹1 a day for his work. Hari sends a postcard to his sister to let her know where he is, and sends the money that he earns home to help the family. Back in Thal, Laila is struggling to care for their sick mother, who needs to be hospitalized. She asks the De Silvas for help. Mr. De Silva takes Laila and Hari's mother to the hospital and helps pay for her treatment until she gets better. Mr. Panwala, a watchmaker who owns a shop near the Sri Krishna Eating House, offers to teach Hari his craft and asks Jag to allow Hari to work in his shop for a couple of hours a day. With Mr. Panwala's help, Hari becomes very skilled at making and repairing watches. After a while, however, Hari begins to miss his family and decides to go back to Thal. When he gets home, he finds that his mother's condition has improved and that his father is slowly beginning to recover from his alcoholism. He starts a small business raising animals and thinks about using what he learned from Mr. Panwala to open his own watch repair shop in the village. The story ends on a hopeful note with the family's situation finally beginning to improve. The main themes of the novel are family, responsibility, poverty, trust, promises, and dealing with adversity. Hari and Laila work hard to improve their own lives, but also benefit greatly from the assistance of kind individuals. The main message of the story is to persevere in the face of hardship and take advantage of every opportunity to make a better life while also helping others who are less fortunate. The novel also paints a picture of a changing world that is becoming more industrialized and in which skilled labor is increasingly replacing agriculture as the primary means of making a living. Chapter 1. Lila, a young Indian girl, visits the beach in the early morning during low tide. The beach is empty except for local seabirds and beautiful blooming flowers, and Lila relishes the peaceful silence. She wades out into the water to pray at a sacred rock shrine daubed in powder, and as she does so, the sun breaks out and warms her while she stands in the cold water. She can see fishing vessels in the distance. Lila's father used to be a fisherman, and her mother used to come pray at the sea shrine, but her father has sold the boat to pay off his debts, and her mother is now ill. Lila feels this moment, standing in the waves watching the sun rise, is her only happy moment in each day. She returns home, walking past seaside bungalows owned by rich Bombay families that are closed until the holidays. The bird song is beautiful, it seems to tell Lila that everything will be alright. Lila arrives at her family's hut, broken and crumbling in the village of Thal. Her sisters, Bella and Kamal, are brushing their teeth with twigs, and are not ready for school yet. Lila begins to get them ready, making a fire to boil milk tea for her sisters and parents. She berates herself for not doing her chores before she went to the beach, but also knows that going to the sea first thing in the morning is a special ritual for her. She feels that as soon as she rises she must flee her house. Lila's brother Hari arrives with a small pot of milk, all they can afford. Lila's family is poor, they have no buffalo, so they must buy milk every morning. Hari goes to the fields to work and takes his sisters to school. Lila brings tea to her sick mother. She does not know what is wrong with her mother, who gets weaker and weaker every day even though she feels no pain. Lila's father sleeps in the corner, a stinking alcoholic who disgusts his children and provides no support for the family. Lila's mother wakens and asks Lila if Hari, Bella, and Kamal have gone to work and school respectively. Lila confirms, and notes her responsibilities of cleaning and cooking and going to the market. She gave up on her education a long time ago. Bella, Kamal, and Hari walk down the road, which is dusty but has nicer buildings that are made from brick. The houses like the ones they live in are by the shore, and have thatched roofs. They pass the post office, and the girls ask Hari to buy them sweets. He refuses, as he has no money, and the girls head to school in disappointment. Hari does not go to school anymore because he must work in the fields to support his family now that his father doesn't even pretend to contribute. He notices a new tin shack, and is curious about it because the village doesn't often get new things. He hails a village boy, a friend of his named Ramu, and asks who is building the new shack. Ramu informs him that the government is going to build a big factory in the village, in fact, many factories. The shack will become the hut of the factory watchman. Ramu says the village hill with its temple will be flattened to make way for the bulldozers and earth movers that will clear the land for the factory. Hari can't imagine the change, and doesn't believe Ramu. Ramu jumps on his bicycle and pedals off, assuring Hari that soon they will have new jobs, presumably at the new factories. Hari thinks about what Ramu told him while he works in the fields. He cuts his toe and notices a snake. He wonders whether he will be able to get a job at the factory, since he did not finish school. He can read and write but he never took an exam and has no degree. Does he even need a degree to get a factory job? He can work hard, surely that's all that a man needs. Lila comes with their dog Pinto to bring Hari chapatis, Indian flatbread, for lunch. She is annoyed that Hari doesn't seem to be working very hard. Lila asks Hari what they should do, and almost cries as she recounts that their father still hasn't woken up and will only go drink himself to death at the liquor toddy store at night. Hari thinks they can look after themselves, but Lila reminds him they don't go to school anymore and soon they will have no more money to buy books and uniforms for their younger sisters, and that their mother needs money for medicine. Hari says he is doing the best he can. Lila says they must more. Hari surprises himself by telling her that when the De Silvas come to the village from Bombay he will ask them for work, or that he will try to find work on a fishing boat. Lila is relieved to hear this, and feels grateful that Hari will soon be able to work and bring home income, even though he is not a man yet. Hari can't work after their conversation. Even if he did clear the field, the vegetables he would grow would not be enough. He walks down to the sea and sits in the shade of a tree grove. Ramu comes along on his bike with two boys, Bola and Mahesh. The four of them used to play on the beach with their dogs and go to school. Bola and Mahesh don't go to school now, but for a different reason than Hari. They find it boring even though they have money for books and school fees. They don't want to follow in their father's footsteps and be fishermen, they want to go work in Bombay, and wait around for an opportunity to arise that will bring money and a good time. The four boys talk about money and jobs. Ramu, Bola, and Mahesh are excited about the prospect of factory jobs, but Hari is still dubious, skeptical that they know enough about factories to be hired given their educational background. Hari sees his sisters going to the beach after school to collect mollusks for dinner. The women chat and gossip with each other as they pry the slimy mollusks out of their barnacle shells with special knives coitus. They notice two well-dressed people, a woman and her daughter, and jealously discuss how they are the dependents of a rich fisherman named Biju who sells his extra fish and shrimp at a high price in Bombay. The women envy the gold bracelets of the wealthy fisherman's wife, the women in Thal love bangles. Another woman says that Biju will be buying another boat, bigger and faster, so they can go farther out to sea and catch more fish. Bella and Kamal silently feel that the other women are lucky, even if their men don't bring back much fish, because at least the men and their families are bringing back something. Their father does nothing, and Hari cannot catch very much with only his hand net. Hari is the only boy in the village with no boat and no fishing job. The fishing fleet comes in, and the women wait on the shore anxiously, carrying baskets. The fishermen begin to loudly auction off the fish. A large woman wins the auction and takes a large basket of fish. A Tonga driver comes, and there is another auction to see who will get to ride with him. Bella and Kamal are playing. Hari scolds them because their clothes are dusty and Lila must wash them. He has caught nothing, which the girls notice. Pinto the dog comes running down the path. Pinto was named after the man who had given him to the children. This man did business, and had scammed their father and many others after collecting money for the bus fare to Goa and then vanishing without ever delivering the job offers he had promised to the village men. Lila, Kamal, and Bella love Pinto, but the dog reminds Hari of his father's stupidity. They return home to eat a mollusk and chili curry. Their father has gone to the toddy shop to drink all night with the other village drunkards. Later, their father comes home with the other drunk men, who waste the lantern oil and laugh loudly as they find their way home in the dark. All the dogs wake up and howl. The noise frightens Lila. Hari hopes their father steps on a viper and dies. Their father lurches into the hut and passes out in their mother's room. The house is silent, full of fear and anger and nightmares. Chapter 2. Lila decides to go to the market with the little money they have, and wears her best sari. She feels younger and happier, and sets off alongside a few other women. There is a temple at the end of the village lane, and there she sees her friend Meena, who tells her that actors have arrived and they will be performing a play. Lila is envious that Meena can watch the show from her house because she lives in the village center instead of by the shore. Meena invites her to watch, but Lila refuses because she cannot leave her sisters at home alone at night. Meena accompanies Lila to the market to buy rice and sugar. At the market they learn that the timber in the truck was for building Biju's new boat. Meena says that Biju has made his fortune through smuggling, which Lila isn't surprised to hear. The friends part ways, and Meena tells Lila to come see the play. Lila says maybe, even though she knows she will not. Biju's boat is being built. The village children like to come and watch. Biju has hired workmen from Alaba, the district capital, even though the Thal men have been building boats all their lives. Biju likes to sit in a chair and watch the progress. His fat wife comes to watch sometimes as well, but gets tired easily and retreats to their fancy house with its many displays of wealth. Biju's wife knows the village gossips about her, and she doesn't like it. The villagers feel strangely proud that their tiny village is producing such a fancy new boat even if they dislike Biju and envy him. The children taunt Biju about the smuggling rumors, but he is too old and fat to catch them and scold them. Hari suggests that he'll get a job on Biju's new boat and get rich, which alarms the girls. They tell him that he will be put in jail for becoming a smuggler. Hari confirms his desire to go to Bombay, a rich city, and bring back dazzling treasures for his sisters, but dismisses the plan as a dream. Hari spends more time watching the construction of the new boat than fishing or working in the fields. The wood smells different and good. Biju brags that it will have a deep freezer and a diesel engine, to keep the fish fresh, until they can be sold in Bombay. Ramu and Hari don't know whether to believe Biju or not. Ramu thinks that the boat is just a boat, and will not survive the monsoon season or bring a profit to Biju, who is spending a tremendous amount of money on it. Ramu would rather have a job with daily wages than gamble on a fancy boat that may or may not succeed. Hari thinks about the options in his life: go to Bombay, get a wage job, or work on a boat, and starts to worry. The De Silvas arrive in their white car from Bombay. Their house is called Mon Repos, and when they come, the village has a little bit more life as there is more things to do and more employment opportunities to be had. The De Silvas have brought a lot of luggage with them, and the children wonder if they have come to the village to stay permanently. Hari helps the De Silvas with their bags and Mrs. De Silva, scantily clad in a fake villager's outfit, gives him money to buy milk and eggs for them every morning. For the next few days, Hari is busy buying the De Silva family soda, milk, eggs, fish, and various other things. The De Silvas have a cook and an ayah, who watches their small children. The Thal children think it is strange that the Bombay family swims in the sea. To them, the sea is a place of work, not leisure. The cook is overworked and Hari helps him prepare fish. The ayah has Lila help her sweep and clean the house, which is full of sand because it was left empty for so long. The De Silva children admire Lila's bracelets and Lila asks her sisters to make them some flower garlands, which they bring home to Mrs. De Silva. The next night there seems to be some festivities at the De Silva house. There is confetti, and the De Silva children and adults are all making merry until late at night. When Lila comes to sweep the next day, she notices heaps of wrapping paper on the floor. We learn that it is Christmas, a holiday Lila is unfamiliar with, although her sisters have heard of it at school. The De Silva children bring some candy for Lila and her siblings, and she tries to give one to Pinto, who is tied to a tree because the De Silva family is afraid he will bite their fancy purebred dog. Hari is washing the De Silva's car as they prepare to leave. Mr. De Silva offers Hari's father a job as a watchman for the house, but the father is too drunk and dirty and Mr. De Silva retracts the offer and drives off with his family after patronizingly telling Hari he will give him a job as a car washer if he ever comes to Bombay. Hari is upset with his father's behavior and Mr. De Silva's condescension. He goes to check on the construction of the new factory, but the tin hut is locked and there are only a few pipes on the ground. No progress seems to have been made. Chapter 3. In the morning when Lila tried to wake her mother, she didn't respond and was burning with fever. Lila sends Bella and Kamal to their neighbors, the Kanakars, to ask for Hirabai to come. Kamal wonders if the neighbors will be drunk like her father, but the two girls go off. They see a discarded snake skin on their way, which momentarily scares them. The Kanakars' property is littered with rubbish, neglected and shabby. The brothers who owned the land sold their crop groves and other assets to pay for toddy. Their wives all left them, and only their mother, Hirabai, is left to care for them. She thinks they are coming for money for toddy, but Bella and Kamal shyly tell her that their mother is sick and needs a doctor. Hirabai tells them that she saw the local medicine man this morning and that she will find him and send him to them. They wait for the medicine man to come. Bella and Kamal skip school and play outside while Lila anxiously tends to the household chores. Finally they hear the drum and the trumpet of the medicine man. The medicine man comes with a cow decorated with tassels and beads. Local people feed the cow grass, which is supposed to make their prayers come true. The medicine man has a reputation for magic, which makes the girls nervous, but they welcome him. Lila explains that her mother has been ill for a long time and asks for medicine. The man demands water and grass for his cow, and the girls oblige. Lila makes him tea and tells him the story of her mother's illness, and how she is much worse now. The man makes a fire and throws packets of flowers on it which make smoke. He chants in Sanskrit, and then when the fire is out he makes a paste of the ash and puts it on their mother's tongue, claiming it will purify her and drive away the demons making her sick. He then makes the girls gather up the rest of the ash and ties it in a sack, telling them to put it under their mother's pillow. Then he demands payment. Lila gives him her mother's precious silver ring, which has been kept in hiding. The three girls are left staring at the bag of ash, feeling slightly duped. Later that afternoon, the girls are resting when they are awoken by Pinto's barking. The girls run out to see what the fuss is about, and see a band of men and boys in the shrubs by the creek. The men are trampling down the plants, and the girls wonder if there is something evil hiding in the shrubs. The men find what they're looking for and start beating it with sticks, yelling and screaming. The dogs attack the carcass, and the men tie it onto a stick like a trophy. It's a mongoose, which drinks out of coconuts and leaves them dry. Kamal feels pity for the mongoose, and feels badly that it was brutally killed for a mistake, for doing what nature intended. That evening, their mother is still sick. One of the drunk brothers from the neighboring hut stumbles in. Lila is scared. The man asks for their rascal father, and threatens to drag him out of the house even though Lila tells him their father has gone out. Lila screams and pushes her sisters behind her, and tells the man not to come in because their mother is ill. He asks where they keep their money because their father owes him money for drinks. Lila tells him frantically that they have no money, and the man mocks them before swearing he will find their father and break his neck. Pinto barks in rage at the man and runs towards him, baring his teeth like a guard dog. The man panics and tells the girls to call Pinto back, and in the uproar, Hirabai, the man's mother, appears. She curses at him for frightening the girls and drags him off while he is still shouting threats at Lila, Kamal, and Bella. Right after they leave, Hari comes home and asks what has happened, and they tell him the story. Chapter 4. Hari now knows that some action is needed. He goes to the beach where Biju's boat is being built. Now that the freezer is installed, Biju never leaves the boat's side. He has named the boat Jal Perai, meaning mermaid, and Hari walks purposefully up to it, meaning to ask Biju for a job. But Biju turns to address another stranger who has walked up to him at the same time, the same Bombay man from the factory. The man jokingly comments to Biju that he's building another ordinary fishing boat, which irritates Biju. He tells the man about all of the boat's special features. The man laughs and says that soon 50 miles won't be enough as the area is being overfished. He tells everyone listening that the Thal villagers should give up on fishing and move on to other things. Biju says that fishing is the village tradition, and always will be, and even if it wasn't, they still have their fertile crop fields. The man points out that soon the factory landowners will buy up the rice fields. Even if the Thal villagers don't want to sell it, the government will force them. Biju asks why they have chosen the land instead of a less fertile area, and the man shrugs and cites its easily accessible location, close to Bombay and near the seaport of Ruas so that the factory goods can be easily transported. There will be whole new colonies built for the new workers, new cities with infrastructure and public transit. Biju angrily asks what will happen to them and the Bombay man says that their village will cease to exist. The man laughs coldly, and says that the boys had better get jobs 50 miles out to sea on Biju's boat because they won't be hired at the factory, only engineers and mechanics from elsewhere will be offered jobs. The village is angry. Hari goes to the market to search for ice to cool their mother's forehead. Hari notices a large crowd outside the temple on his way. Boys, fishermen, farmers, women, and all sorts of diverse villagers have gathered to hear a young man speak. The man has come from the district capital of Alaba. He is concerned about the string of 14 villages that are threatened by the new factory development, telling them that the waste from the factory will be dumped into the sea and will kill the fish. What will they do without the sea? He tells the people that the government will send men to pacify you with lies, but that they will never have high-paying jobs, only low-paying servant work, like being janitors, coolies, and sweepers. Can the people of Thal let this happen? No, they reply. They will fight back. The man urges anyone available to come to Bombay to tell the Chief Minister Sahib that they disagree with the factory plan. Apparently the man has already tried to talk to the district commissioner at Alaba, who did nothing. A minister came to speak to the crowd at Alaba, but when he saw the mob, he withdrew into his car in fright, leaving the police to break up the protest with batons. The people should no longer stand for police rule. The man says that tomorrow he will wait at Ruas for anyone who wants to go to Bombay, and that try as they might. The government can't take the sea from us, the land is ours, the sea is ours. The people shout in agreement, and their hands in the air reminds Hari of palm trees or of sails. When Hari reaches the market, the Iceman has not yet arrived due to a traffic delay. He welcomes the wait, needing some time to be alone as he feels he has been shoved around by crowds a lot recently. Hari has given up on asking Biju for a job because he knows the Bombay man is more clever and wily than Biju and that he probably spoke the truth. The young man speaking at the temple is named Adarkar and he is a member of the Maharashtra State Legislative Assembly. Hari feels like he should stand with Adarkar and defend the rights of the village in Bombay. He turns over the options: take a dull, low-paid job with the new factory, or go to Bombay. The Iceman comes and Hari collects the ice chips and puts them in a bag before hurrying towards home before the ice melts. As Hari nears their hut, he hears his sisters crying and knows something is wrong. He immediately assumes something has happened to their mother, but it is Pinto. The dog is dead. Lila says Pinto was poisoned, he got sick, vomited blood, and then dropped dead. Hari wonders why anyone would hurt Pinto. Kamal shrieks that it was the drunk brother who had demanded money from them, and that the brother hates them and had already threatened to kill Pinto because their father owed him money. Hari gets angry thinking about debt. He decides he will run away to Ruiz, and then to Bombay, and will never come back again to his sad house with his sick mother, his drunken father, and his frightened sisters. Analysis. From the beginning chapters of Village by the Sea we can see that while the setting of Thal is an immensely beautiful place, the suffering that the family undergoes is severe. Father is a drunk, who can no longer work and support his family. Mother is very ill with an undiagnosed disease. The eldest children, Lila and Hari, are only 13 and 12, respectively, but it is up to them to eke out a living for themselves and their family. They do not go to school anymore because they cannot afford it, food is scarce, their hut is dismal, and their futures are uncertain. Desai based this story on a real family and decided to tell it to children, but later in life came to regret it. She told an interviewer that she made it a sort of fairy tale and, certainly, the real family's lives didn't end as happily as I made out in the book. She also said, I wrote Village by the Sea that way for children. I felt immensely dissatisfied with it and admitted to myself that I would have written it quite differently if I hadn't been writing it for children. Despite Desai's dissatisfaction with how she altered or embellished the real-life experiences of the family, the novel doesn't avoid or dramatically mitigate the suffering that children feel and endure. She wants to show the changes occurring in India and how real people are affected, especially children. She explains what suffering is like in India to provide context for her literary aims. Life is extremely brutal in India as it is in most countries. But most countries are very much better at obscuring the brutality, at veiling it so that one is only intermittently aware of the horrors. I think what's so overpowering about India is that all the human experiences which we surely share wherever we live, all over the world are all on the surface. Nothing screens them from your view. You feel exhausted and battered by all that India throws at you. At the same time it's extremely honest, it's extremely open, and it's extremely basic. If brutality and harshness are so obvious in India, so are affection and family ties and friendships. They're heightened, too, in India. They're also very much more open and vivid. And I suppose they're what makes life wonderfully livable there, the warmth and the color and the exuberance one misses elsewhere. The main issue at play in the novel is the changes coming to the Alaba district and what that might mean for the villagers. At first, Hari is somewhat optimistic about the factory that is to be built in Thal, and he is also optimistic about potentially getting work on Biju's fancy new boat. Even though he tells himself, he could not afford dreams, he must be practical and think out a scheme. 45 He is a bit excited to think that life held so many possibilities. 48. All of these hopes are dashed, however, when the factory man tells the villagers the truth about what is to happen. The factory will be one of many factories and there will be a railway line built, people will come from all over to work in Thal. 63. The man says proudly and scornfully, all your land will be bought up, factories will be built on it. Your rice will go. 93. Even more ominously, he tells the people, your village will go. In its place, factories will come up, fertilizer will be made, gas will be produced, many jobs will be created. The government says so. 93. The waste from the factories will pollute the sea and will destroy the fish, the lifeblood of the village. As the young protester Adarkar bleakly prophesies, even the promised jobs will not be great. Jobs as sweepers, jobs as coolies, the worst jobs, the most ill-paid jobs. 95. Hari is smart enough to see the truth in what the factory man and Adarkar say, and decides that all he can do is travel to Bombay with the rest of the men to protest what is happening. It is not an easy decision for the introspective boy, and he wavers a bit before deciding that the prospect of Bombay is too thrilling to pass up. After all, he had always told himself he could get there and find work, and now he also has a moral cause to motivate him. His youthfulness and naivete show through, of course, but he is clearly motivated by a desire to be part of something, to be useful, to make an impact somehow, even if he is just a young, penniless boy who had never been anywhere. 100. Chapter 5. The next morning, the morning after Hari leaves, the village gathers to watch the launch of Biju's new boat. Biju's wife has made a banner, and Biju sits and watches over the scene with pride. Biju's wife and daughter pass around sweets, and his wife breaks a coconut on the prow of the boat. Men lift the boat onto oiled tree trunks, but they lose control of the boat, which is not held back by any restraints, and run for their lives as it topples over onto its side. Biju is angry and yells at the village men who had been trying to move the boat while the onlookers laugh. He asks where his Alaba workers are, and a young boy says they have gone to Ruiz with Adarkar to petition the Bombay government. Biju yells at them that they know nothing about fishing. The boys retort that they know better than fishing, and that they will get jobs in the factory while Biju catches a few stinking fish. Biju starts cursing at them and they laugh and dodge him. One boy wonders where Hari is. Has he gone to Bombay? Another boy says Hari would be stupid to do that. The villagers drift away eventually. They must wait for the tide to rise to lift the fallen boat. The next day, the tide does not come up high enough to lift the boat. The following day it doesn't either, and it takes many days of hard effort before finally in the dark of night the boat is put out to sea with no crowd to watch its launch. The narrator tells us that by then, Hari was so far away from Thal that he had completely forgotten about Jal Parai, Biju's boat. Chapter 6. Meanwhile, Hari had been hoping to catch a bus to Ruas, but he stands by the Thal bus stop for an hour in the night and no buses come. Finally, a bull-drawn cart comes along and Hari asks for a lift. The driver obliges. The cart is totally bare and Hari spends an uncomfortable night being jostled around the rough cart, getting sore from the hard wood. Hari reaches Ruas at dawn, and tries to pay the driver, but the man waves his money away, saying that he was going to Ruas anyways to pick up fertilizer. Hari is surprised to hear the word again. The driver tells Hari that soon everything will be made in a factory, and nothing produced by hand. No more spinning yarn, no more grinding wheat at home. Everything will be bought in shops. The man says that nothing is enough. Because the planet's population is growing too large, so there is not enough to go around, which is why big factories have to be made in a desperate attempt to change that. Hari is surprised to find the pier at Ruas teeming with people. He had not thought so many people were heading to Bombay. He had thought he was being adventurous, but now he sees that there are all sorts of men and boys going, and he feels a little bit less special and brave. He is just one of many. A Darkar is at the piers as well, and Hari goes along the pier following the crowd until men lift him and put him in a boat. The sun has risen by this time and lights up the water in shades of purple and green and blue. The boats set out like dolphins over the waves. From Ruas to Bombay is 14 kilometers, and the men and boys sing as they sail. The vibe is more of a holiday than a protest, and a Darkar keeps shouting to remind people why they are going to Bombay. Eventually, he's hot and tired, and the other men tell him to sit down and save his strength for the protest. They pass him tea and slices of lime. Hari is the only person from his village in the boat, and he sits at the bottom where no one notices him. He wonders if he has done the right thing, but he knows he can't turn back now. He will have to get a job and work and live in Bombay. A man eventually sees him and asks whose son he is. He notices Hari has no food and gives him a chapati, which Hari takes gratefully even though his mouth is almost too dry to eat it. When Hari finally sees Bombay, he is awestruck. He wants to stand and stare at it, but everyone is pushing out of the boats, so the crowd moves him along. Everyone is in a hurry and is rushing to where they are going, and through the people Hari sees the bustle of the port, of the steamships and the docks and cranes that are putting goods on board. There are new smells everywhere, and new voices and languages as well. Hari and the other men who had come on the boat exit the port gate and go out onto the street, which is packed with terrifying traffic. Hari has never seen many cars at once because in Thal, and even in Allahabad, there are mostly bicycles and trucks and rickshaw drivers. The vehicles are honking and speeding by and Hari clutches the arm of the man next to him, who turns out to be from his village. This man's name is Mahe, and he tells Hari not to stop, because they must hurry to the Kalagoda, the black horse. They begin to dodge the traffic and almost get hit by a bus, whose driver yells out the window at them as they stand transfixed. A policeman comes and also begins yelling at them, asking them if they have never seen a streetlight. He mocks them, calling them pumpkinheads, much like the factory man from Bombay and Thal. The bus driver suggests fiercely that the policeman should send Mahe and Hari back to Thal to keep them off the streets of Bombay. The policeman laughs. Mahe tells him that they are from Allahabad, and that they have come to speak to the chief minister. The policeman taunts them, saying to go ahead because the minister is waiting for them with tea, garlands, and sweets. Hari and his companions continue, offended at the rudeness of the Bombay people. They hear many more jeers as they walk to the black horse. Hari stares at the tall buildings and the sea of people around him, and wonders what the black horse is, thinking that it might literally be a giant horse. He looks around eagerly, hoping to spot it. The business people that they pass by seem to be irritated that there is yet another procession in Bombay. Much to Hari's surprise, it seems like there are many protests going on in the city, including an all-female one. The women are banging pots and pans and demanding fair prices for oil, rice, and sugar. The women cry out, "Jail!" and then rush forward, led by a grandmotherly old lady. This shocks Hari. The Alaba crowd had not even considered bringing their women and girls, thinking that they would only be a liability and a nuisance. He wonders what Lila and his mother would think of this all-female protest. The policemen seem very used to keeping protests controlled. They force the men to walk around in a large circle. They are led to a central square. There is an empty pedestal in the square, which is the Black Horse. Apparently, there was once a black statue of a British leader on a horse upon the pedestal, but the people of Bombay removed it after the British left India because they did not want to laud a foreign ruler in their newly independent nation. The villagers gather around the pedestal, and a strange man, old and thin, climbs to the top of it and begins to speak into a megaphone, though Hari cannot hear him well because of the roar of the traffic. The man, who is named Saeed Ali and is not a politician, begins to tell the listening villagers that he finds their way of life and their land valuable, and that it must be protected. Hari thinks the man must be a city man. He's dressed very well and looks clean and educated, and wonders why the man cares so much about their cause. The man continues. He talks about the environmental concerns of the Thal fertilizer factory, and talks about its impact on Bombay, citing a case in Japan where organic mercury pumped into the sea ended up poisoning nearby people who ate the fish from the area. The man says that there is no more room in Bombay for new workers, and questions the motives of the villagers who want to live in Bombay. The lifestyle of unemployed and labor-working people is very low. Hari feels as if the man is speaking directly to him. Saeed Ali leaves the podium and a new man comes up. He discusses the Allahabad Geomagnetic Observatory, which will be threatened by the new factory. Established in 1841, it was moved to Allahabad in 1904, and the new factory will bring large masses of iron that will change the magnetic observations. This man does not have the same effect on the crowd that Ali does, and the crowd cheers when their own leader Adarkar comes to the podium. He repeats the reasons they rallied around. The people of Allahabad do not want money in return for their land. The crowd cheers again, and the people start to dissipate. Hari isn't sure what to do next. He hears a voice shouting that only 5 people will be going on to Mantralaya with the group's petition, and everyone else should return to the docks. Hari feels as if he belongs nowhere, as if he has been left behind. He is now alone in Bombay. Back in Thal, Lila and the girls wait for Hari to return, but he does not. Lila wakes to the bright morning light, and sees that their mother is ill with fever once more. She sends Bella and Kamal to buy ice and to inquire after Hari in town. Lila's friend Meena tells them that the men of the village have set out to Bombay, but the girls don't believe that Hari went with them. They return home to find Lila burying Pinto in a homemade grave, and the 3 girls cry. Before Bella breaks the news to Lila, Hari has gone to Bombay with the other men. Lila doesn't understand. Hari couldn't have been angry and upset enough to run away, could he have? She decides they must manage by themselves. She will take their mother to Allahabad herself, and find her a doctor and medicine. As Lila thinks this, the girls hear the sound of tires and a car motor. The De Silvas have arrived from Bombay. Chapter 7. Chapter 7. Hari wanders around the Black Horse, not sure where else to go. He becomes very thirsty and sees a man with a wheelbarrow full of coconuts. Hari is used to picking coconuts, not buying them, and is shocked at their high price, 2 rupees. The man comments that Hari looks hungry and thirsty, and finds him a smaller, cheaper coconut. Hari tries to explain the Thal situation to the coconut man, but the man just lights a cigarette. He tells Hari that the government has only a mouth, not eyes or ears, a mouth that it eats with, feasting on taxes, the poor, and the land itself. Don't ask it for anything, and be an independent man, he advises the listening Hari, who thinks that the coconut man seems very wise. But the man turns to help new customers, and Hari walks away. A beggar calls after him and tells him not to trust Bilu, the coconut man, because he uses his coconut knife at night to murder people as a hired assassin. Hari is startled, but the beggar says that the people of the pavements live this way, with a safe job during the day and a lucrative, immoral one at night. He offers to teach Hari some tips for this lifestyle for a small fee, but Hari refuses and moves on. He begins to feel afraid, and leaves the square via a side street. He can smell the ocean, and suddenly feels a wave of homesickness. He emerges from the side road onto a beautiful seaside boulevard. The beach itself looks like a fairground, with vendors and toys and food everywhere. Hari remembers that he has the piece of paper with the De Silva's address on it and decides to pursue the job offer that Mr. De Silva had offered him. He asks a shaved ice seller where the address is, and the man laughs, saying Hari must be a prince in disguise, but